Can you hear that? I think there are people outside. Oh my God, are those boys here? Oh my God, are we safe? What do we do? 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 Well, if you are a social creature on Twitter, you probably by now know about hashtag Lagos Unrest, hashtag Ogun Unrest, and I think one that died down, hashtag Ibadan Unrest. I'm not really informed about that one. But even if you are not on Twitter, if you live in Lagos, you've heard about it. If you live in Nigeria in general, I think you should have heard about it by now, about the state of unrest that is enveloping, majorly Lagos State and Ogun State. And, many people are, saying these guys are robbing out of hunger and stuff like that, but I would like to differ. I really would beg to differ. I think it's a much more bigger problem than hunger. And yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. So, hello, welcome to the Volatile Times podcast with Adisa Daniel, and you're in for a treat. Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of the day you are listening to this. Once again, thank you for tuning in. This is the Volatile Times podcast with Adisa Daniel, aka your fat teacher. Yes, so let's get out to this. By now, I'm assuming that as you're listening to this, you already know about the hashtag Lagos Unrest, hashtag Ogun Unrest. Basically, the raids, the theft, the riots, the fights, etc., etc., the violence ongoing currently in Lagos State and Ogun State, and I think other parts of the country also, And if you don't, this would be a good time to, after listening to this podcast, to just go and get yourself informed about it. But I think you should already know about it by now. The president a couple of days ago just issued an increase in the days for isolation, 14 days, which I will not say came as a shock. I would say was quite expected. I don't think anybody had any thoughts or hope that, it was just going to be the initial 14 days, you understand? But there's been something that has been going on amidst those 14 days. And no, I am not talking about the increased number of confirmed cases. I am not talking about the increase in the number of deaths, although those things are deplorable, those things are heartbreaking. And neither am I talking about the increase in the number of those who have recovered, which is, heartwarming to say the least. What I am talking about is something a little bit much more local, something a little bit much more, how should I say it, serious, and it is something that, the facts have been convoluted with the fiction of it. So it's basically there's a state of panic and acts of terror that are currently going on around a couple of states in the country, majorly Lagos State and Ogun State. And you have different accounts of boys, of some gang members, fighting amongst themselves in certain areas. Some particular group of boys, robbing houses. I even heard the story. I'm not sure how true this is, of them writing letters to certain residences and telling them that they are coming to rob their place, so they should prepare their bounty or tribute or whatever. I don't even understand what that reasoning is. But, it's things like this. Things like this have been happening for almost a week now. And, many people are feeling unsafe in their own houses. Many people are feeling unsafe, and sincerely, this is not even the time for these kind of things to be happening. Although there's never a good time for this kind of nonsense. But this is not really the time for things to be happening. People's hearts are already heavy. People's minds are already, frustrated and tired due to the isolation and due to the fact that many people are unable to work. Human beings don't do well when they are idle. You understand? So there is panic. There is, a wanting of the heart and different kinds of terror due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But also, when I put this one on top, these acts of terror, these acts of domestic violence, domestic terrors rather, that are being perpetrated by fellow Nigerians, you understand, who are also going through this as other people are, it's kind of heartbreaking. Do you understand? It's kind of heartbreaking. It makes you not think, not, it doesn't paint a good image of who we are as Nigerians. Yes, given the fact that yes, 59% of Nigerians are deplorable, 35 are, so, and the rest only God knows. But this really isn't the time yet. But first off, let's even talk about what are the facts. Now many people believe these things, started just a couple of days ago. I have a different experience. I live in a place called Ifo, it's past Ogota in Ogun State, and before our issue of this gang violence and this petty thefts, and then that escalated a little bit, started a bit further back. I think it started 2 days before the actual isolation began. Understand? For others, it was starting on Monday. For us, it started on Friday. So it started like 2 days before the actual isolation started. And by that time, I don't think anybody should be worried about hunger. Like, you haven't even been isolated yet. You understand? So which means all the outlets by which you get money and get food are actually still available in those 2 days. So I don't think hunger is what started it. So I kind of asked around, you understand, because that's the only thing you can do. Ask around Facebook and stuff like that. That's the only way we gather information here in Ifo concerning what's going on around us. We talk to each other. And I got to find out that it was 2 rival gangs that started this whole thing. And that is what stuff like this needs. Incidents like this usually don't start up with a flare. What they need is a spark, and then a follow-up event to add fuel, and then a second follow-up event to stoke the fire, and then a third to add in a little bit more fuel, and then what you then have after that third follow-up is a blaze. So these 2 rival gangs started fighting. And the violence kind of started escalating a little bit. Before you knew it, they were robbing hospitals. I have a friend whose dad owns a hospital, and because they turned down a wounded person, one of the gang members, because they were afraid. The doctor wasn't around, and the nurses were afraid and everything. The second day they went over there and then destroyed a couple of equipments. They harassed the patients, both patients and the hospital staff, and a couple of other things. And that happened like 2 to 3 times, and then it escalated to they were robbing houses, which I believe were not necessarily the gang members, although it could have been the gang members and some other people. But I believe, like I said, chaos usually needs a spark, and then the gang violence created that spark, and then you had other hoodlums and hooligans started perpetrating acts of terror and violence, you understand, acts of unlawfulness. And now a week, or should I say 2 weeks later, you have it escalating past Ogun State into Lagos. In Lagos State now, it has arisen, and Lagos State, I think a little bit, we can say it's a little bit of hunger, you understand. Not everybody is privileged to have been able to stock up. Not everybody is privileged to have been able to just have something down, you understand, to last them for at least a week. And sincerely, the government didn't really help, because the whole relief funding thing, the whole relief distribution, whatever they call it, was garbage. Yes, it was total garbage. I saw images, I saw pictures, I saw reports, I saw news coverage of the things. It was total garbage. Churches that were donating resources to their church members and to the communities around them did better jobs than the government, Nigerian government at large. Yes, that is the fact about it, and I don't think there's any Nigerian citizen that knows the facts that will not agree about this. But here's the question. Is all of this happening just because people are hungry? Are these boys fighting? Are these boys robbing houses? Are these boys robbing places because they are hungry? Is hunger just the only thing that is motivating this? Is hunger the major influence for this? You understand? And just by the way, the police commissioner of Lagos actually said nobody has been robbed. By the time I am recording this, nobody has been robbed. It's just, how should I say it? exaggerated panic on the citizens' side. Although I've seen images where they apprehended some guys, but apparently maybe they apprehended those guys trying to do something else, but no houses have currently been robbed. But my question is, how long do we have to wait till houses start getting robbed? You understand? I and my family have been safe, here in E4, neighborhoods have been keeping watch, you understand? I stay up late most of the night, you understand? Just to make sure that family is safe, just to make sure the neighborhood is safe, you understand? So many things like that. So let's admit, okay, what the police commissioner said is true. Although they've deployed armed forces, the SARS, police, soldiers, other, various armed forces to police Lagos State, many areas in Lagos State and Ogun State, to ensure safety and to apprehend the perpetrators of these acts of terror. But I'm not too worried about, or how should I say it, I'm not just focused on only the boys that are currently creating that violence. I'm also worried about the citizens, because if there's something I know panic does, is that panic tends to act like a virus. It replicates, you understand? And when panic starts replicating, the influence it has grows, and when the influence it has grows, it becomes much more effective. So let's say these boys are apprehended, but we need to stop there. With the panic that's already set in the minds of the citizens, stop there. Also, it can't just be hunger that is causing these guys to do these things, right? Well, that's what I'm about to analyze. So like I was saying before, I don't believe hunger is the only reason why some people are committing acts of robbery. Yes, some people are stealing from others because of the reality of lack, you understand? And it's not been easy for some people. This isolation has not been easy as it has been for some of us. Some people they already ran out of their food stock and stuff like that, you understand? So, I can understand while some people rob out of the reality of lack. But disclaimer, I should have done this at the beginning, I am in no way going to justify the acts of violence and lawlessness that anybody has, any of these guys have perpetrated, or even any normal civilian that has been a victim of this act of terror has perpetrated. I'm not going to justify them. I am not going to normalize them. Neither should you. There is no good reason for this. You understand? You can understand the reason behind it, but doesn't mean you understand that the action taken was good or can be commended in any way. Do not normalize this. Do not try to justify this or even make any form of excuses for these people. We can understand their situation, but that does not mean that we should condone the acts of terror that have been committed. Okay, so moving on from there. Yes, like I said, some people are robbing out of hunger, but there are other people who are just using this as an opportunity to cause terror, to cause panic. You understand? A couple of people have been caught at my area in Ogun State here, and there's a reality that shocked many people and also angered many people. And it's basically this. It's the fact that the people who have been terrorizing our communities, the people who have been stealing from some people, people who have, even murdered some people, actually really, really young guys. Like, some of them are 19, some of them are 20, some of them are 21, 22. Like, I don't think there's any of them that is up to 25. I think only their leaders are like 28, 30, you understand? But many of these guys are really, really, really stupidly young guys, you understand? Which, I'm like, don't you have some of these guys? I'm very sure that they have parents. I'm very sure that they have friends. They have people that they could rely on during these times. You understand? And I remember I saw a video of one that they caught. You understand? They had beat him and everything, but it didn't even feel like as if he wasn't even really feeling the pain. He just kept on asking for cigarettes, weed, alcohol and all that stuff. And it's obvious that this guy, hunger is not a motivation. It's basically, he has given himself over to be an agent of chaos. That is how I see it. Some of these guys are doing these things not because they need resources, not because they need help, not because they are suffering or that they lack, even though that might be the reality for them. Many of them are doing this because they have surrendered themselves to be agents of chaos. They have decided to be perpetrators of domestic terrorism, and they have decided that they are going to sow seeds or even an entire forest of panic into people's minds. So it's not just about hunger. It's about the state of unrest, the lack of for many people, it's about the lack of knowing what is going to happen in the next 24 hours, you understand? It's about not just being sure, because this is the time where many people are not sure about anything, you understand? Many people are not sure the economy is going to recover in anytime soon. Many people are not sure their lives are going to proceed. Some people have already lost the momentum on some of the goals that is set for this year, business goals, educational goals, and a lot of other things, you understand? So people have been hit many different ways due to the rise of this pandemic, you understand? I blame China, by the way. That's another episode entirely, but just keep that one in mind. And okay, so like I said before, I'm not just going to focus on the people who are currently committing these acts of violence, but what about the citizens who are being the victims currently? Is there a chance that the victims too shall end up becoming the agents of chaos? What do I mean? Jungle justice. We all know what jungle justice is. If you're a Nigerian and you don't know what jungle justice is, we revoke your Nigerian citizenship. We are going to deport you back to wherever it is you came from, because you are not a Nigerian. Yes, it's a joke, but obviously. But any Nigerian by now, no matter how tush you grew up, no matter how buttered up you are, you should know what jungle justice is. Either you've seen it happen before, which I have, or you've read about it somewhere before. And jungle justice is basically, private individual citizens, communities taking the law into their hands, being judge, jury, and executioner on certain criminals or perpetrators of particular crimes. And let me tell you the truth, the Nigerian Constitution does not support jungle justice, just so you know. It goes against section, I think, 33 of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, in case you're wondering, no, I have not read the entirety of the Nigerian Constitution. I have a life. I probably should read it, but I have a life. I mean, maybe I'll read this isolation, who knows? But I saw that online, section 33, it goes against section 33. Now I cannot tell you precisely what section 33 knows, just know jungle justice goes against section 33. We good? We're good? We're good? Okay, moving on. So, jungle justice. Now, jungle justice can, be, what's the word? Okay, jungle justice can come in varieties, you understand? It can simply be just, extreme acts of humiliation, you understand? And sometimes it might be severe execution of capital punishment. It's sometimes it's just downright murder, you understand? I remember years ago, I was really younger around this time, there was a boy who stole, I think, Maggi or something, 10 naira, and this was real life. You hear these things and sometimes you just laugh, like, how far now? I'm kidding, but some of these things actually happen, and it happened in the market. He stole something, and then, they just caught the boy, they beat him, and before you know it, tires on top of him, and he was burnt up. This happens a lot in Lagos too, you understand? You see, maybe you hear he stole something, or maybe it was a fight and he was defeated, and then the next thing you just see somebody is burning in the streets, you see dead bodies, or you see somebody has been beaten to the point where he's now recognizable, you understand? Jungle justice exists. Jungle justice is serious. Jungle justice is a thing that people do. This jungle justice is not perpetrated by criminals. It's not perpetrated by evil people. It's simply done by citizens who have let their panic and their fears to govern their actions. You understand? And it's also as a result of a lack of faith, trust, and security in the government that has neglected them. Now, what do I mean? People need to trust the government to be able to secure them, to be able to, punish crimes, you understand? Bring justice to them, you understand? The citizens need to be able to trust the government to have their interests at heart. But as we all know, the Nigerian government has barely ever done that. You understand? So most of the time people have this mentality of if this person does something, nobody is going to catch him, right? No policeman, they'll just give policeman 5,000 naira, which happens. 5,000 naira, and then crime, case closed, crime solved, innocent and acquitted, or what's the word? You understand? So like these things happen a lot. You see somebody who was reported to the police, and then 2 weeks later this guy is out. There was no punishment, there was no court case, nothing. You understand? And it reduces the faith people have in the system. It reduces the faith people have in the law itself and in the government. And this leads people to out of a sense of frustration and fear, want to met out justice. You understand? People want justice. People want the right things done. People want to be vindicated. You understand? They want to be compensated when something horrible happens to them. So when they catch somebody, let's say vigilantes catch somebody, and vigilantes usually take the law into their hands, being that they reason like many other people. If you hand this guy over to the police, they'll just tell you the cell is full. There's a story behind that, by the way, but I'm not going to tell it. The cell is full, and they are like, this guy is going to go scot-free. You know what? Let us punish him. Let us punish these people. Let them know. We go let them know. Say, they come our neighborhood, they do anything we want to do. You understand? You got to respect the rules and privacy of the citizens. Yeah, but sometimes it's, I don't know, how should I put it? Jungle justice is horrible. Sometimes it has been a necessary measure, not a good measure, but a necessary measure. But it's horrible nonetheless. Now I remember when the thefts, the vandalism, a lot of my friends, they saw my WhatsApp status, you understand, there were videos that I posted, many posts, screenshots of things, you understand. So people got to realize, some of my friends got to realize that, we down here, we're going through this. Thanks again to those who prayed, those who are praying, you understand. We need to pray for our country. We need to pray for people to have a peace of mind, to have rest in their hearts, you understand. Because the last thing we need is widespread panic. Yeah, that's the last thing we need. The last thing we need is widespread panic. And I seem to remember, if I'm correct, that there was a time when this whole thing started. At first the police here didn't really acknowledge that these things were really happening. They probably just thought that people were just being unnecessarily extra for some reason. And during that time, you understand, we had some vigilantes catch some guys, and they carried out jungle justice. And I won't lie, it kind of helped in a little way. You understand, it kind of put this sense of consequence and erase the mentality of total invisibility to or impassive. English is failing me. Basically, it basically made some of these guys think that okay, we might be caught, we might have to suffer and stuff like that. You understand? Some of us might be caught, you understand, stuff like that. But here's the funny thing. Things like this always escalate. There's a tweet by Dr. Remy Adekoya. It says, if Nigeria's elites want to survive, they better move fast to curb #Lagos unrest and #Ogun unrest. Nigeria is run on bluff. The state is too weak to control the population if violence erupts in several places simultaneously. And this is the truth. He said, he even ended the tweet by saying, if enough people sense this, Nigeria could explode. And this is the truth. The government does not have the capabilities to handle the citizens, to handle everybody living in Nigeria. If there's a massive outbreak in riots and violence, you understand, if majority of the Nigerians, you understand, give way to their panic, give way to their fears, and violence erupts in many neighborhoods, in many communities, or let me even say in states at large simultaneously, the state doesn't have the resources at this current time. I don't even think, even if it was out of this current time, they had resources, but let's just let's just put it in light of the coronavirus outbreak. At this current time, it is not something the state can afford, and I don't think it's something the state can curb quickly. So if we really want to make or prevent an explosion of panic in the minds of people or in the lives of people, we need to curb this unrest going on in states. This little unrest going on in different places, you understand? We need to curb it. The state needs to curb it, you understand? Because here's how this will go. Many people, their neighborhoods have not been raided at all, but yet they are staying up all night. Why? Because of the fear that 10 communities away there was a community that had a riot that broke out, or gangs fought there, or some people robbed a house there, you understand? The panic will spread. Even though it's not people's current reality, people tend to empathize and relate, and then assimilate the realities or the stories of violence and the stories of evil into their own lives. So even though some people have not been robbed, even though some neighborhoods have not been raided at all, they already believe that they are victims. They already believe that they are next on the list. And why not? Because the people that are doing these things have not been stopped yet, you understand? So they have plausible reason to believe that they are next on the list. But here's the bad part of it. They are going to start taking measures, and those measures are going to start becoming extreme, and then the amount of distrust among communities will rise, the amount of discontent among people will rise, and before you know it, you start having little acts of violence that have been committed by normal citizens that don't have any criminal record of any kind. And before you know it, if these things are not monitored, if these things are not curbed, before you know it, there's a widespread outbreak. There's a massive outbreak of not just the coronavirus, but also the panic virus. Yeah. And once that happens, it's going to keep on escalating and escalating until you have something close to a civil war, civil unrest in the entire country. And sincerely, we cannot afford for this to happen. We cannot afford for this to happen. Because like I said, hunger is not just the only reason why some people are committing acts of violence right now. It's basically because some people just love being violent. Some people just love causing terror. Some people just love making people uncomfortable and making people afraid of even the place they live. So we need to curb these things right now, and we as citizens, we also need the media to stop. How should I put it? We need the media to stop phrasing things in very, very drastic and apocalyptic tones. You understand? We need the media to propagate things are serious, but we need to stay calm. Sometimes the media doesn't even tell people to stay calm. They just give them the bad news, without saying, oh, take a lollipop, stick, lick, and calm down. No, you need to give us a little bit of anesthesia, understand, to numb us a little bit to the seriousness of things, because just dumping bad news on people doesn't make people feel fine. Let me put it that way. It doesn't make people feel fine. So we need the media to help and curbing, but also we need people to learn how to stay calm. You understand? We need people to learn how to stay calm. We need people at this point in time not to spread fake news, because there is fake news out there concerning this unrest. There are a lot of fake news. I will admit there are a lot of fake news, images from times past that are being spread now as current happenings. Basically, Nigerians, the evil part of you is showing. Sincerely, the evil is showing, and oh God, it's just tiring. It's tiring to see these things happening. The government also needs to do more. A friend of mine posted on his WhatsApp status. He said a government that was unable to share voters' ID card quickly enough for the election to 7 million people in Nigeria. I think 7.2 voters card. It was able to share relief funds within a week. And Shebi Inspector, Director, Financial General, or whatever his name, Shebi office bond, and then records of the budget, or how they spent the billions of naira that they said, or is it trillions, 2 trillion, I think, that they said they gave out to the poor and everything, foods and money and stuff like that. we don't know where these records are. Right now, we need less embezzlement of funds. See, after we've gone through this crisis, you can start embezzling funds back, and you understand? And then we'll start fighting corruption, normal. Are we on the same page, you understand? But right now, we need everybody to pitch in. I like the tweet from Dr. Remy said, if the elites want to survive, we need to curb the unrest fast. Because let me tell you the truth, the violence is first going to spread from normal citizen to normal citizen, you understand, from person to person. But then at some point, all of them are going to go, oh, why are we attacking each other? You don't even have anything. And then the next thing, they'll just look towards the elites in the society, look towards the elites, those who are in power. And you know what? Next victims. Before you know it, the isolation is not going to do shit, because people are going to be coming out of their house in riots and stuff like that. Like, Nigerians are stubborn, and you don't want to push Nigerians to the curb. To the edge. Yeah. So I'm basically just saying, let's not normalize these things. Let's not, in any attempt, try to justify these things, and let us recognize the repercussions that might be birthed if these things are left unchecked. If this act of violence, this act of terror and ensuing panic are left unchecked, you understand, we could have a different kind of outbreak on our hands, maybe even one much more deadlier than the coronavirus and the Lassa fever, if we are not being careful. So we all need to pitch in, you understand, in how we spread the news, in how we talk about these things online, you understand. Let's talk about these things factually. Let us not stir up too much emotions, and also let us, rile up our police enforcement, law enforcement people to take charge of the safety of the citizens, you understand. Because let us remind the people in government, they are not safe. They can't run away. Airports are closed. They cannot run away, you understand. So in the end, this thing will touch them if they are not being careful. So, I just want to talk about it, talk about what I think is the reason for it. I think largely it is not hunger that is causing these things. It is just that people are surrendering themselves over to being agents of chaos, since there is nothing better to do, since there is no hope. Many people have lost hope by this time, and it's just 2 weeks, guys. But many people, Nigerians, aren't known for having great mental strength, you understand, great mental fortitude. So it's understandable that people are already panicking, people are already giving into the terror and their worst imaginations, you understand. But at the same time, we cannot promote this, we cannot tolerate it, and we cannot allow it to grow. So we need support, we need prayers. Yes, please pray. See, the power of prayer does a lot, you understand. We prayed for our neighborhood here, and shortly days after we prayed, we saw the police starting to move, we saw different things started quieting down, and we'll continue to pray, you understand. Please pray with your families, pray individually, pray for the country, pray that the effectiveness of panic, the power, I don't know, English is failing. Basically pray that panic doesn't spread, that people's mind are people have peace in their heart, and they go to bed at night with their minds calm and rested, you understand. Because the last thing we need is an outbreak of panic. It is an outbreak of quasi pseudo schizophrenic citizens thinking that it's the end of the world and it's judgment day, you understand. Let's not be too optimistic about this. Human beings usually don't go into kumbaya and we all need to stand with each other during times of crisis. Human beings tend to just become lawless and give in to their basic instincts of anarchy and chaos during times like this. So please, let us watch how we talk about these things. Let us watch the narrative we spread. Let us keep in check what the facts are. Make sure we are being factful. Let us not stir up too much emotions, and let us continue to pray, and let's not lose hope. Thank you very much for listening in. Again, this is the Volatile Times podcast with Adisa Daniel. These are my views on the unrest currently going on. Let me know what you think. You can just hit me up on hit me up on what's it called, Twitter. You can use, if you are going to talk about this, please talk about this podcast, you know, understand, share it, spread it, let people listen to this, you understand, let people get informed and educated. And whatever, when you are posting about it online, use the hashtag volatile times with Daniel. Yes, volatile times with Daniel, hashtag volatile times with Daniel, so that I'll be able to find, you know, and, you know, address your concerns. If you have a question, you know, just post it on your timeline with the hashtag volatile times with Daniel, and I'll find it and I'll, you know, I'll attend to them. Thank you very much once again. Peace out.